Hello everyone, welcome back to Sabre Outdoors. I of course am your wonderful host, Mark Alexander, and today we're back in our basics series. So today we are going through the mysteries, the wonder that is a bait caster. Now guys, there are some people that swear by bait casters. There are some people that swear at bait casters. I very much like a bait caster, although I will still use other things as needed for whatever application. But today we are going to take this reel, and I've already got line on it. And the only thing I've done to it so far is I have fixed the drag, and I'll show you where that is, and I put a loop at the end of my line. So we're going to show every part of this. This is right out of the box. I just put line on it. This rod is brand new, still tags on it. I just bought it from Walmart. So we're going to take our pocket knife. We're not going to litter, of course. I'm going to try not to, yep, there we go. And we're going to take that and put it in our pocket. And if you want to know more about this this reel, this rod, I'm going to do an entire review video on both, and hopefully I will be able to catch some fish in that video. So we're going to put our reel on our rod. Each rod has one of these deals here on it. Doesn't matter what kind of rod it is, it always does. And you just set this piece right here into this reel seat. So it goes on just like that, and then when you got it pushed down there, you reel that out until you can get it right up in there, and then push that down. And you don't have to really get on this. I mean, it's not something you need like a pair of channel locks for. Just get it on there, finger tight, and that's on there. It's not going to fall off. So at that point, undo your line, put your line through all these eyes. I'm not going to go through showing you that. Surely you know how to put line through a hole. But I'll be right back when I'm finished with that. All right guys, so I've got my line in, I've got my reel attached. Now we're going to go through the very parts and pieces. So of course this is the handle, this is the reel, but in between there's some other things. So do you see this? This is your drag. So if I loosen my drag, so lefty loosey, just like anything else, if I loosen that drag all the way, this line, it's already clicked in. It's just going to pull out. You can see no resistance whatsoever. But if I tighten that drag, righty-tighty, I can take, and now it's harder. And I can tighten it even more, and it's even harder. That's how you do that. Now, if your line has not been used a lot and you tighten it all the way down and then pull on it, you might dig your line into the spool and it might affect your casting. So be mindful of that. Now, there's another part of this reel. I'm gonna get up here again. There is this right here. This, next to the reel, is what's known as the tension knob. Now, that is what's going to help you when you start your cast, whenever you're doing that, so that your tension is right. So I need a weight on the end of my rod, so I am going to actually use just a washer. I don't know how much this weighs. That's the same thing that you will deal with as using a bait caster. You're not going to know what your lure weighs all the time. But I've got this loop at the end of my rod. I'm just going to stick my loop through and go around my washer, and bam, I have a washer on here. So, wow, that reel's fast. So, right now, there's very little tension on the rod. So, I'm going to get this to where it's sitting on the ground where I can show this for sure. So, you can see my line's loose. Now, there's no tension on it. So if there is a sudden, get out of here, you old bug. If there's a sudden pull, you can see it begins to what's known as bird nest. It begins to unravel itself. But if we take our tension knob and we tighten it, same as the drag, righty-tighty, if we tighten that, and I tighten mine relatively much. So now, if we take that and we do that same deal, we just pull it a little, you can see it doesn't bird nest on us. And of course, when you're casting, that's an extreme version of what I'm showing you. But I always set my tension relatively tight, and the going rule for most things is, let me get out here just a little bit. So when you're setting your tension, I'm gonna put the washer kind of near you. You want the washer to just barely drop. It needs to be a slow, consistent drop. Just like that. That's probably perfect. Now, for a basics person, I'm gonna have you go, if yours clicks, I want you to go one click tighter than what that was. So, one click. Now, the reason we do that is because if it is over tight, we can loosen it a little bit here and there as we get more used to it. But if we loosen it too much, we bird nest it immediately. Then we have to pull the bird nest out. We bird nest it right afterwards. We have to pull another bird nest out. We bird nest it again. We have to pull another bird's nest out. I'm trying to get you set up so that you don't have to worry as much about bird nesting. Now, the tension knob helps you whenever you're starting your cast. Now, at the end of your cast and during your cast, we are working with what's on this side, which is the brakes. Now, at some point, it's just like if you throw something. When you throw it up, at some point, it's going to get to its highest point, hang there for a moment, and then come back down. Now, that's the same with casting a lure. At some point, it's going to get as fast as it's going to and start slowing down. Now, your brakes take care of that part, because when you're slowing down, your brakes will slow down the spool so that it doesn't keep trying to run as fast as it's been running as you were casting out. So right now the brakes are completely off. So if I were to cast, that would be bad. When you are starting out, put your brakes on max. And that way you have the maximum amount of braking, and you can back them off slowly to where you're comfortable. So I have my tension set, I have my brakes on max. We're gonna try a couple of casts. So I have never cast this reel before or used this rod before. This is the first time you watched me just now set up every single thing on it. So I've got my washer. If I jiggle it a little bit, the tension knob will let it fall, but otherwise, not at all. So, perfect. Cast just fine. Now, whenever you are starting to get better at this, you're going to do something called thumbing. So, you take your thumb and put on the actual spool. Now, why would you want to do that? So, if you are trying to get the maximum distance, say I probably casted 30 feet just now. If I wanted to cast as much as double or even more of that, I could loosen those brakes. And of course, if there's not as much brakes, it's just like brakes on your car. If you're not pushing the brakes as hard, it goes faster. So if I let off my brakes, we're going to let off about 5 or 6 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to let off 6 clicks. We're not touching our tension knob for right now, but we're gonna let off some. We probably got another 15 feet off of 6 clicks. And that brought that from the maximum is right there where it says on the reel. Let me rearrange real quick. My washer's caught something, but let me pull that washer right quick. Okay, cool. I may have to go get this washer and get it took care of. Yep, I'm gonna have to go get this washer. Be right back. Okay, got the world's strongest weeds took care of. Now, I did 6 clicks, so you can see where it says max there, and that's how much, that is how much away from the max that we went. Now, I probably will go, let's go 2 more clicks. 2 more clicks. That netted me about, round about another 5 feet. We'll reel that back in. And if I let off that more, instead of my brakes doing the thing, say I turn my brakes completely off and I casted this. So instead of my brakes slowing it down, I used a thumbing technique. I just put my thumb on this spool and my thumb became the brakes. Now, I'm not overly great at thumbing. I usually let the brakes do the thing because why would I buy a nice reel with brakes if I'm gonna thumb it anyway? But let's get that back in. And let's set our brakes back to about 3/4 of the way. I didn't, I'm not counting the clicks. I'm just kind of I'm trying to just freehanding this. So that's about probably, on a guess, 50 feet, maybe upwards of 65 at the most. Now we're gonna see if we can get some more distance, because now with those techniques, once you're comfortable, we can work with this tension knob. So we're gonna go back 2 clicks on the tension knob. 1, 2. Now our thing, instead of that slow descent like it was before, I'm sure you can see that. Now it falls relatively quick. So, and I'm actually gonna go 1 more click. So 1 more click. Now we're gonna have more startup speed on this spool. So let's give her a try now. That's probably 70 feet, easy. Because it's taking me longer to get it back, and that's how you know that it's went farther. Now, at this point, this is ready to use. You can go with this and use it. Now, this general setup will work for most that's around about from 1/2 ounce to 3/4 ounce lure, which is the most common lure that you're gonna run into. Most bass baits start at a 1/2 ounce. Some of them go down to a 3/8, but a 1/2 is about the standard mark. I usually do not fish anything more than 3/4 of an ounce, just because I fish ponds most of the time, as any of you longtime viewers know. And anything over 3/4 of an ounce usually sinks like a rock, and I can throw it a 1/2 mile. I don't know how much this is as far as weight, but I can send that 70, maybe even 75 feet into the Blue Yonder. I have no idea what this washer weighs. No idea whatsoever. And I can get it that far out. Now, guys, I'm gonna do something that I really don't want to do, but I'm gonna do it so that you can see how to fix it. So I'm gonna bird nest this on purpose. I'm not gonna throw it crazy hard, but I'm gonna take all the tension and all the brakes away. So the tension's gone. Like, let me show you. You saw that nice, easy, small, slow drop? Now it drops like a rock. And I'm not gonna throw it hard because I don't want an impossible bird nest, but we're gonna throw a bird nest right quick. Okay, cool. We've got us a little bird's nest. So you can see, let me make sure you can see. You can see we've got loose line. That needs to be tight. Now, if you don't stop it beforehand with your thumb like you saw me do, you're gonna have to pull this out yourself. So what you do, you undo your thing and you pull. You pull until you get to good, tight line again. And it may take you 30, 40, 50 feet sometimes. This time it only took like maybe 20. And this is a high gear reel, so it takes me no time to reel that up. I reel my stuff in, and now I'm going to show you just as fast as I can how I would set this reel up if this is brand new out of the box, like if I hadn't started all that extra. So what I do, I put the brakes on about 3/4. I roll this tension knob in until it starts getting tight, and then I take my washer and I back off until I see it drop. All right, we're ready to go again. And the only thing that I did was I stopped it with my thumb when the washer was about to hit the ground. And that's even farther out. And it's not a problem. That was probably 80 feet out. That's the nice thing about these bait casters. When you first get them, they're like any other thing that's mechanical. They're usually packed with grease and oil to make sure they last and they don't rust, and they get better with time. This will probably end up throwing a lot farther on my 50th cast than it does on my first cast. But you can just take it and zoom it out there, and just when it hits the ground, or in this case, you know, quotient marks the water, you can stop it. Now guys, let me get this in and I'll talk to you a little bit more. Oh, I might have I was about to say world's strongest weed's got me again. All right guys, now normally I would take this and go catch fish with it, but I am going to review this reel and this rod in a separate video. So be on the watch for that. That video will likely come out after this one. So guys, there's nothing more to say about these things. These are the basics to use a bait caster. So all I got to say is usual YouTube things: like, share, subscribe, comment. Please hit that bell notification and subscribe. It helps me and it costs you nothing. We'll see you somewhere in the woods or on the water.